We are now ready to start our meeting. This is special meeting, January 30th, 2025 at 6:15. May we have roll call, please?
Gross. Harston Span.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Loveland.
Here.
Turpin.
Yes, here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item is an authorization to excuse commissioners. May I have a motion to excuse them, please?
Move.
Any questions, comments, or concern regarding this agenda item? Hearing none, can we have roll call, please?
Harston Span.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Loveland.
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nos.
Thank you. The next item is are there any amendments to the agenda tonight? Hearing none. Can we now have approval of the agenda as written?
So moved.
Support.
Are any questions, comment, or concerns? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Support.
Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, can we have roll call to approve the minutes of the January 23rd, 2025 meeting? Roll call.
Harston Span.
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Loveland.
Yes.
Turpin.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nos.
Thank you. So you will see listed here review and discussion. The first item, we will not be discussing them in detail, but we will be discussing, if it's okay with the members, if you have any questions regarding the Pontiac City Charter. I want to thank the attorney Elizabeth White McDonald for being with us on Zoom. So are there any questions for her regarding our present charter as it relates to the charge that we have to approve wage compensation for the Pontiac president of the city council? Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes, thank you for joining us. Really, it's not a question. It's mostly for clarifications if anyone asks or if they're out there listening now, based on the charge of our duties for hosting these meetings now, based on the change in the charter for, 1, the redistrict, 2, the memory at large has nothing to do with us. The redistricting didn't have nothing to do with us, but out of the charter came a full-time council president position, which has to be voted on by the council, but it included a salary that was charged by the charter, so we're obligated to set salaries for the elected officials, which would be now president of the council, secondly, the council and the mayor. So that was our duties, and people say, why are we doing it so fast? That's why I think they need an explanation based on elections coming up and this year for the council, so they had to identify the districts, and so that gave people ample enough time to go out here and campaign and know what area they're going to be voting in or running in, and that alleviated the position where the council president became full-time to perform their duties in order to put this in place. So it's charter-driven. People think that we can set a wage and then set the time when that person should get paid. That's not our obligation. Our obligation is to just, by the statute, come up with a wage. Then it's up to the council to move forward. So am I right, wrong, or could you probably inform the public in our committee a little more?
Sure. No, I think you've summarized the law on this accurately. The LOCC meets every odd-numbered year. And you can meet any time during the odd-numbered year, but you have to be sworn and do the work prior to October of that year. So 2025 is an odd-numbered year. You're obligated then to take up the issue of the compensation of all local elected officials. And in this case, the charter has taken one of those elected positions and changed it to reflect a full-time salary. And so it's your task is to consider that full-time change if it, and what it would mean for a salary for that position, along with the others that you would always, be required to do in the normal course.
I just have maybe a statement, or maybe you can respond to this. The charter was approved at the end of August, correct? And I
Correct.
guess there's a gap between approving the charter and then compensation for the new position, which is the full-time board president, correct? Am I correct?
Correct.
in saying- So there was no real stipulation in the charter that really said, how we're supposed to do this, because the person who is currently the president will be fulfilling that role, but yet we, as a commission, could not meet until the odd year, which is now, which is, January 2025, correct? But
Correct.
and that's not our role to come up with that, but it just makes it a little more difficult and sometimes a little hard to understand between that gap now and what we're supposed to do. Am I making sense?
So are you talking about the period of time from August till
No.
the present?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, it was outside of the power of the city to set that salary without this board being able to meet. And the statute is very clear that you only can meet in odd number years. So this is really the earliest opportunity, January of 2025, for this board to meet and do this work.
Thank you. I just, it's kind of piggyback on what Mr. Jones said, because there were questions about why we are just doing this, but that's not in the charter for us to even consider. We're just here
Yeah.
to do the salary compensation piece. Anyone else?
Right.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Loveland?
Well, not to, just to explain what we're doing and what our charge is, there's two things happen. One, the charter change. Two, this was the earliest you can meet on the odd years in January, so they acted fast. And the third thing was implementation of the council decided to go with the district's change and the four-term council. We couldn't do anything until the first step was made. Even if they did in August, that person would have been out there without a salary anyway, except for the original salary of a council. So everything
Right.
came into play of the odd year of 2025 based on our charge of when we can or cannot meet. And if it didn't happen now, within this time period, it would not meet again to 2027. So that position would be a position with no salary at all.
Yeah, that's correct. Ms. Loveland? Are you, okay. Oh,
I had a question about the councilperson at large and whether we were going to have to vote on a salary for that position, or was that going to be considered the same as the salary for the other council people?
That would be within the purview of the LOCC to make that determination.
oh. Really?
Then do we have to determine as a commission whether we want to, well, should we then determine as the commission whether we want to call a second set of meetings for that?
Well, you're setting under this convening, you're setting the salary for the city council, right? And the president and the mayor. Did I miss anybody? Right? So I think that's, you're asking whether the at-large, should all 6 city council members be the same, or should the at-large position be something different? That's a decision at the discretion of this board. All of the elected officials' salaries are set by this board in whatever fashion you determine is a fair salary for each of those.
But so as of right now, that position is automatically going to be set at what the other city council people are making, or do we have to create, do we have to create a new salary for the new position?
You do not have to create a new salary. You can say that they're all the city council, whether elected at large or whether elected by ward, those are all going to be considered the same.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to maybe try to summarize and make sure I have an understanding of what's been said. Therefore, it could become our responsibility if we chose to do that. Is that what you're saying? To come up with a salary for that at-large council position. That would still be in our purview. We would be legal as commissioners to do that. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not saying we're going to do it. I'm just saying hypothetically, as commissioners, our role, and are we operating within the law that says, because in the charter, it doesn't say anything about a different salary for the person at large, council person at large. Am I correct?
Correct. It doesn't
Okay.
tell us in the charter.
Yeah.
And so we're left to have to fill in a lot of gaps on a lot of this language in the new charter because it has some language out there that we have to then interpret. But you're under the statute for the local Officers Compensation Commission, you're charged with establishing the salaries of the elected officials.
I have a suggestion.
Your mic is off.
That since that has come up, that maybe we would take that up at another meeting, because tonight our charge is to do the salary for the, but I appreciate, and that's one reason why I asked her to come, for the legal aspect of what we're trying to do and make sure we're operating within the guidelines of this, because I want to kind of stick to, if it's a charter-related question, that's great. Because we just have to make sure we stay on task. Mr. Jones.
I have one question on the council at large. Conversations and minutes around the salary of that position, was anything discussed or settled, or when they left and put a council at large on the charter, was anything stated that that person's salary would be the same as the remaining 6 council members or 5 council members, however that may end up being? Especially in the minutes of conversation. I know they went back and forth, was talking about the at-large person would be the president, and then that didn't transpire, and they left it as the council members would elect the president, and you still would have a council member at large. So was it any conversations or minutes around the salary of that at-large person being the same?
Are you talking about the minutes of the Charter Commission?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have access to that. That's totally separate from the city. That's a totally separate group. There weren't any, as far as I know, I don't know who the members of the Charter Commission are or were, but as far as I know, there was not any city representation in that process.
Okay.
So I haven't seen those minutes, and I don't know.
So I think too, legally and technically, I don't know how legal minutes are as opposed to actions. So I think I would want to know whether any actual official action was taken. Is there a document that says that the council voted to do A, B, C, D? Because, minutes is sometimes can be general. People just have conversations. They just have thoughts and opinions. So I would want to know if there's a legal document that says the council discussed and voted that this at-large position would remain the same salary as the regular commissioners at present time. Yes, I'm sorry.
You're okay. So I would say the legal basis would be the charter that was approved, and within that charter, it just states that they are all part-time. It does not discuss salary, except for the council president position.
Thank you. That's part-time.
Yeah, that I would agree. That's what we've got to work with. The charter language, the process, just so you know, the Charter Commission comes up with its language. That language then goes to the Attorney General's office. They review it. it gets on the ballot, and then the voters vote on it. And that's the document that we have to work with.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hawley. That kind of summed that up for us, so we don't have to anticipate or guess. There's the document. So, is everybody clear on that? Mr. Jackson, would you like to say anything? You clear? Everybody's clear? Okay, clear. Okay. So on the agenda, there's some items like Pontiac employment pay bans, 2025 Pontiac employee census, the city of Detroit schedule for 2024, but it also should be the actual salaries of the current city employees should be on here also. Is that included in the packet?
It's included,
Okay,
just
so I just want
with
the-
the schedule.
Okay, so we actually was able to secure the actual compensation for the entire, all the employees in the city of Pontiac, and as of January 25, 2025. I do want to personally thank, before we get to the next part, all the help that I received from Ms. Harley, we received as a commission, from Ms. Attorney McDonald, and current president of the council, Mike McGinnis. Because this was a joint effort, we were kind of doing it on the fly in respect that we have never done this before. And so that's why we were so serious about getting as much documentation as possible so we could make the best decision based on research and facts. That being said, we're now down to agenda item number 2, which is council president's full-time salary. Do we have a motion here?
I would like to make a motion that the council president full-time salary be $75,000.
Is there any second? Are there any questions or comment or concerns regarding the salary? Hearing none, can we have roll call, please?
Jackson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Loveland,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Harston Span.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nos.
Thank you very much. So do we have any public comment? We have some people in the audience. Hearing none, okay. So right now, we're going to have closing comments by the commission members, if you have any.
I'm just glad to be able to know where we are, where our perimeters are. So when you come before us again, we'll at least know we're just not flying off before when we went to the mayor and the salaries. So this really helps me in knowing exactly what we can do and what we can't do. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Ms. Loveland?
Despite the fact that I tend to, and I'm known for being long-winded, I will pass at this point. I have no comments.
Oh, all righty, Reverend Jackson.
For some reason, they say it's dangerous to give a pastor a mic because they are long-winded. But I am grateful, and I'm looking forward to 27 because I want to see exactly what all it's going to entail. And then Sister Loveland made a suggestion, and I will be willing to go higher once I get opportunity to see what people do, how the next president respond and work. So that's all I got. That's long-winded.
Mr. Jones?
No, I'd like to thank everybody up here and in the audience and all the help to get us to where we are. And I hope some of the citizens paid attention to what we're doing and how we got here. And most of all, including myself, whenever the charter gets revisited again, Lord's will, I want to be more active in this charter to understand it and put some facts to how you navigate through these waters. Other than that, thank everybody for your time and service.
I would like to thank each of you all for coming, and I want to echo and second your suggestion about informing the public and being more engaged. It's not a criticism of what was done. I just think we need to do more in order to inform the public before they make this tremendous, important decision as a charter. Because how long is this charter going to be in effect? Is there a timeline on the charter so it can be revised?
Until they decide to update it.
Right.
Who decides? The Charter Commission?
It would go on the ballot again. So the Charter Commission would meet again, propose any updates, and then it would go on the ballot for the people to vote on.
So how is the Charter Commission chosen, the members?
I
There,
actually,
Yeah, I mean, people ask me all the time. I'm just doing this for the public to understand. So how are they chosen? Yes, please, Mr. McGinnis, President McGinnis.
Should we close out the meeting
No,
first?
we have to do everything in open in the public. So even if we close it out and we're all sitting here, it's still an open meeting. So we want to make
Okay.
sure that we do everything in the open.
In decent
Okay.
and-
I'm glad that, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to address that question, and I'll let the city attorney expand further. But there are two ways that the city charter can be revised. One is that a charter revision commission question be put on the ballot. Residents can collect signatures, gather petitions and say, yes or no, do we want to form a charter revision commission? That happened in 2012. It happened in 2020-ish, before this most recent one. I don't want to get the year wrong. So first, the voters have to say, after signatures are gathered, yes or no, do we want to do it? And then they elect 9 charter revision commissioners if the outcome is yes at a future election. So as many people as run, but the top 9 get elected, and then they serve for a period of, it has to be 3 years from when I believe that question was yes. That's the sort of expiration date. So that could happen, I don't think there's any limit. It could happen within the next few years, or it could happen in the next few decades. That's up to the people. Another way it can happen is that a specific question can be put on the ballot by the city council. The city council can authorize a specific question, and I think by referendum, signatures could be gathered too. Either citizens or the council could say a specific question, meaning, do we want to put some specific limitation, something specific in the charter? It's not saying, shall we consider a whole new change? Do we just want one specific change made? And then, if the council says yes, or that petition is proper, then that specific question goes to the voters. And they're voting yes or no. We did that a few years back when the previous charter wasn't passed. We changed the deadline for when property taxes are due. It was a specific question on the ballot. The voters said yes or no. Do we want to make that window longer? They said yes, so the charter was changed with that specific change. So those are the primary ways, but I'll say that in this new charter, it's still, working out in terms of how it's in effect. They added a charter review board, and that hasn't been started yet. The city attorney can speak more to that. We've had a lot of conversations about how do we implement that, but it's a citizen composed board such as this commission that would on a regular basis review the charter, see what changes need to be made, and make recommendations. They wouldn't be able to change the charter, but they'd sort of be looking at it on a more regular basis versus let it sit on the shelf and then all these sort of outdated issues just keep piling up before it becomes too cumbersome. But that's something that still is in the early phases of being initiated, and I welcome the city attorney to help me out if there was anything that I didn't articulate well.
No, that's exactly it. Mike, you've hit it, all the points. That new charter review commission is something different, and like you said, they wouldn't have authority to change the charter, but they would have authority to make recommendations and to try to keep it up to date.
And it did spell out a specific time window. I don't want to misquote it, but where they're saying basically they want it on a regular basis looked at. So we may as a community, rather than wait a few decades, we as a community might make specific changes or modernizations as we go forward, if that works out well.
So it can be a working document, literally.
It really should. It needs to be something that works well, and if it's not working well, it's the structure of our government. If something is clunky or wording it becomes outdated. I mean, we had in our previous city charter language that said we will have a city hospital. And that was still in there until August, decades after we had sold that city hospital. We no longer had it. So we really have been out of compliance with the charter because we did not have that city hospital. And that's just one example of, if it was done more on a more ongoing basis, it wouldn't have gotten so obsolete or so out of compliance. Thank you.
I want to remind us that if there's anything that we really need to talk about, we have only 45 days. Can you tell us that when that date is that we cannot meet? There's a window there that says we can, and they count the weekends. So
I'm gonna have to count on my
that's fine. I'll
calendar,
come
but
back.
I can get it to
I'll
you.
come back. I'll come back. So doing my research, I did find 2 communities where the commission that we serve came up with a toolkit because they had to navigate on their own about how to do this compensation. So I would like for, I was going to ask, I mean, it's a voluntary thing, and I know we have to do it in the open, so it would be a meeting where I would provide the draft, so we can tweak it, build on it, delete, and come up with protocols and that, you know, we kind of did it on the fly. We asked for information, but this document specifically said that this information would be required. They had the HR person come in attendance. They had the attorney for the city to come, different components in the organization to come and do presentations to help the charter truly, and the council, to come and really sit around the table and talk about the kind of things that we would probably need moving forward. Because there's really no real outline that tells us what we need to do and how we need to do it. So I will be getting back with you and find out when we can do that. It would only be 1 meeting. I will send the draft to everybody. You can tweak it, you can add on, you can let me know what you think about it. You can only do it with me personally. You can't do it as a group.
I'll talk to you.
You want to help me? Help me. She's a parliamentarian. She's going to help me navigate because I'm always nervous about making sure we are compliant and it won't be misunderstood as though we're meeting behind closed doors. I just want to be transparent in everything that we do so that we're covered. Leave no room for misinterpretation. And so, Ms. Loveland.
And that everything will be done in compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
We'll make sure that we're doing it properly.
Right.
So, but that's something,
Well, she's very good at that. I'm just going to say when we were on the, well, I won't go there, but.
let's just move on.
Yeah, we're going to move on. So that, now, I believe in transparency, and I believe in doing things according to guideline, rules, protocols, and procedures. And if we do that, we're always going to be okay. In spite of anything what people might think or say, as long as we are comfortable with following the guidelines, we will be okay, okay? And so, and my role as chair is to make sure that we do that. And so I will operate within those guidelines, but you might be receiving. And what I normally do is send it through Cameron, because that makes it coming from her and not from me. So when she sends out a group email, it's coming from her. So, you know, just try to be compliant. But to make a long story short, I am very, we have a good commission here. We have good members. We have worked hard. And I appreciate all that you have done. I wish Mr. Gross, he's not feeling well. He couldn't be here tonight, so we pray for a speedy recovery for him. And the next item for the mayor and the city council is that we need that 7th person, that there's a procedure for that that's not in our purview. So we need a 7th commission member to be sworn in, selected, and all that. So when we meet again, we will have that 7th member on board. So with that being said, if there's no, again, thank you all for being here, people in the audience, the attorney. I'm sorry, what's your name again? Melinda Drakovich. Ms. Drakovich for attending. Did you have anything you want to say? I am so sorry. You've been sitting here so patiently.
We gave them the opportunity.
Okay, I did? Okay, okay. Sorry. Okay, so at this time, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Support.
Are there any questions? All right, Roll call, please.
Jones,
Yes.
Loveland,
Yes.
Turpin,
Yes.
Harston Span,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
5 yeas, no nos.
So the meeting is officially adjourned at 6:44. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.